There are moments in life that check you. Things that happen that make you stop for a second and reassess. I had one of those moments a couple of days ago. I went on my first police ride-along with my very good friend Tony, who I've known since I was 5, and he's a sergeant for the LAX police. I have always been the girl who watches Cops and CSI and Law and Order and Locked Up Raw, and if I didn't do what I do now, I would have wanted to be a detective. I just think it's so fascinating. So when Tony offered to have me ride along with him, I like leapt at the chance. Like, what, now? Yes, please. That night wasn't just about capturing bad guys. It was so much bigger than that. And it was a time in my life, an experience in my life, a moment, an evening that I will never forget. It checked me. And the reason is this. I'm very lucky with my career. I get to shoot videos and give advice and write and appear on TV and review spas and test food and test exercise classes and do all of these fun things and tell you guys about them. But there's so much that I didn't realize that goes on. You know, it's like when you're standing at the top of a building in your city and you look down and you realize, wow, there's so much happening down there that I don't know right now. There are people who are making love and people who are fighting. There are crimes going on. There's all of these, people having nervous breakdowns, people celebrating. Well, I got to sort of go down and see what really happens. And because Tony is at LAX, we had the opportunity to not only walk around LAX and see what was happening there, but also go on the streets because they patrol the areas surrounding LAX, which is a pretty scary area actually. And we didn't stop at any donut places, okay? Everyone was asking me if I was going to go to a donut place, and we didn't. We had Mexican food, which was delicious. And in the middle of dinner, he had a call. There was someone outside who was disturbing the peace, and he had to go outside and take care of business. And it was very exciting for me to watch. And then we drove around and we saw some drug dealers, and it was, unbelievable. And then we got a call back to LAX, and we went there, and there was a woman who was refusing to get off the plane and not listening to the flight attendants, which is, a federal offense. If you go against what a flight attendant is telling you to do, that's a federal offense. And this woman was going against what the flight attendants were telling her to do, which was get off the plane. She was getting very physical. And so we sped up and drove onto the tarmac and pulled up right next to the plane and went up the side steps right off the tarmac, like parked next to the plane, went up those side steps, not through not through at the terminal, just up the steps and into the plane. And there was this woman and her husband and her son, and she was having a bipolar meltdown and was just lost it and was getting very aggressive. And the son was escorted out because he was having such a hard time seeing his mom like this, and the husband was crying, and my friend Tony and a couple of other officers who had to come and help removed her from the plane, and she ended up going to the hospital. And right after that there was another call of a domestic dispute of a child who didn't want to go home from the airport with his mom after having visited his biological father, and Tony had to sit and talk to the son and find out what was going on and why he didn't want to go home with the mom, and he became like this, not a police anymore. I mean, he was a policeman, he was, taking care of business, but he was so much more than that. He was a hero, he was a mentor, he was a father, he was a therapist almost, and he was amazing. And to see this child look at Tony, and as Tony was expressing his own experience in a similar situation of a rough period during his childhood, and how the child looked at him, this child who really needed guidance. He's at this place where, this crossroads of either becoming a really bad kid or not. And Tony said, look, I could take you to juvenile hall right now. That's my right, I could. But I'm not going to, because I want to give you a chance, and I want you to shape up. And I'm giving you an opportunity to stand up and be a man. And he said, I need you to remember 3 things. You need to be understanding. You need to be forgiving. And you need to have compassion for your mom. And then Tony went and said the exact same thing to the mother. And we were there for about 45 minutes, and I was watching the whole thing, and it was so unreal. To go from, this crazy scene before outside of this guy who needed to be handled, and to drug dealers, and then a woman on the plane, and then this child, and to see these officers who aren't just about, arresting people, but they're changing lives, and their purpose is so much bigger. Anyway, it just really affected me, and it made me just stop and think and realize that other people are going through tough times, and tougher times than I could even imagine, and really have a softer spot than I've ever had for police officers, and more of a respect for the multi-talents and everything that they have to put into that job, who they are, everything. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you, that I had a moment of checking. So think to yourself, are there moments that have checked you recently, and what are they? And don't lose them. Hold on to them. Keep them in your pocket, and pull them up when you need to. So that's it. Thank you, Tony, for an amazing experience. I hope that we all get to have incredible experiences like that.